Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's program. My name is JP Tong, and today's program, Detox Your Mind, I will be talking about anger towards ourselves. Anger towards ourselves. Okay, I think we'll wait for a few seconds for everyone else to tune in. So today's topic, anger towards yourselves, is something that is very common. Uh, as I said last week when I was talking about anger towards others, most importantly, it is the anger within ourselves. Because ultimately, when there is no anger within us, no matter what others do in front of us, it will never trigger any sort of anger in us. Okay, so I will talk about that later. But first of all, let's find out what this anger is all about. Okay, so why do we become angry with ourselves? Why? Well, there are many reasons, but I will speak of some core reasons. Okay, some core reasons that we can actually use to work on, and I think that'll be a very good start. All right, so now, so when we get angry, what is that all about? I'm talking about for ourselves. So why are we angry with ourselves? Well, usually it's because we're not happy with um, how we would want ourselves to be. So it's a certain form of expectation about how we need to live up to certain standards that we have formed for ourselves. As I've spoken to many people, and they always say, "Well, if you don't have expectations for yourself, then how are you ever going to excel?" Right? So, which I explained, you can have goals and expectations, but I would like to call them aspirations instead of expectation, because even the word expectation, when we hold on to these expectations, we always assume that it must happen. It must happen. So it is that fixation that we need to fulfill a certain goal or a certain desire that we have set for ourselves, for whatever motivation. All right. So it can be to excel in whatever it is that you do, in your career, in your personal development, in your relationships, in your school, and so on and so forth. So these are uh, goals that we strive towards. So, but if you tweak that word or that perspective of changing it into an aspiration, yes, you aspire to be such, you aspire to be this, you aspire to be that. It is less, even the word itself, when you say you aspire, the fixation of having to achieve that goal or that standard is not as strong as your expectation. Okay, so it does have, and if we do not meet those aspirations, it is still not, we do not react so negatively and become angry as a result. So it is something for us to check in with ourselves, because we do get, well, very impatient with ourselves because we do not meet up to certain expectations. Okay, so oh, we have quite a number of people here today. Hi, Lee King, Agnes, Lucim, Pastor Antoinette, Nancy, hello, Sofan, Cochran. Hi, Christina. Thank you for joining me tonight. Hi, Audrey. Wonderful. We have young children who are joining us. Yeah, this is great. It's great to start them when they are still young, so they understand how the mind works. So now coming back to why is it that the mind always, always have this desire to hold on to some sort of self identity. Okay, so why is it that we always do that? So think about it. So let's say you grow up thinking that, well, if you're a man, and if you're a businessman with a family, you need to portray that identity, whatever that means. Maybe you are a breadwinner, you are the pillar in your family, you expect to be respected because you are the breadwinner, you are the man of the family. So it's that identity that many men would actually hold on to so that they can fulfill that identity. All right. So, and if that person feels that, okay, I want to be a successful person, a successful man, and I want to make sure that my wife and my children live a certain uh, standard, okay, it's a certain lifestyle of abundance, of luxury. So so that is my image, that is my goal that I want. So immediately this person actually has that identity in his mind. So the anger arises when he actually falls short of that identity. Perhaps when someone questions him at work, or when you're at home, when the wife questions him, or when the children, and he interprets it as lack of respect for him, because his identity that he has created for himself, he expects respect. So because you're not giving him the respect that he expects, that he would like, then anger comes out. Okay, so again, it is self-created. That's why a lot of anger that is created or is triggered by external factors is because of these internal concepts that we create for ourselves, and because internally we are not as happy as how we would like ourselves to be, or where we would like ourselves to be, because we are not fulfilling that certain concept that we have in ourselves. And no matter how subtle it may be, whether you realize it or not, that it creates some sort of anger in us, because deep down we feel that, well, I'm still not there yet. Okay, so, well, we're going to have a lockdown on the 1st of June. So this is one of the best time to actually self-contemplate, really think about ourselves, how we are very fixated with fulfilling a certain identity of ourselves. Okay, and the other issue that adds on to this anger is that we hold on to this identity of ourselves and believe that it is permanent. It is permanent. Okay, but you see, reality is such that every second that the clock ticks, we are constantly changing, whether we are aware of it or not, whether we want it or not. Everything around me, even my cells in my body, the millions are dying and replenishing as I'm talking. So we are constantly changing, whether or not we are aware of it or not. So when we think that we can hold on to this identity of how we would want ourselves to be, and mature, as we mature, and when situations change, even biologically, we change, our body starts to change, you will start to suffer. You will go, oh, wait a minute. Why is it that I am not fulfilling that identity that I've been holding on to for the last 20, 30, 40 years? So again, that lack of understanding that we need to flow with reality. That's how reality is. It's constantly changing, whether or not we like it. Okay, so it's that grasping, is that desire that everything that we hold on to must be permanent, must be of a certain identity, and that is why when and that is why we feel some. It will always start with, like we're irritated with ourselves, we kick ourselves, like, oh shit, oops, sorry, I shouldn't have said that, or oh, I shouldn't have done that. So it starts with that, but then over time, when in our mind, okay, in our mind, when we fail, we tell ourselves, oh, I've done this, I've tried so many times and I'm still not there yet, and when I look at my peers, I'm so far behind, I'm not as good, okay? This is what you tell yourself. I'm not as good and I'm falling short. And that irritation starts to gradually transform into, or it will snowball into anger. Okay, some anger will be more aggressive, whereby you actually blurt it out. You're more expressive. You tell people. I mean, like, people around you will be scared of you to be near you because you're throwing tantrums. You are not in a good mood. Whatever people say or do, it just irritates you because you're just not in the right frame of mind, and that's what happens. And they're the other type of people who are more passive, so they keep that rage inside of them. They keep that rage inside of them, and no matter how angersome they are with themselves, they keep it, and they're cool as a cucumber, and you will never ever know that there is some sort of rage in them. You don't know because they keep holding on. All right. And then after 10, 20, 30 years, something happens to trigger that, and the person becomes ballistic. Right? So have we not seen such people? Oh, I have. So, and that is what happens. And then and when you see it, you go, oh, I never knew. What happened? Why do you become so ballistic when you've been cool as a cucumber all these years? And that's the reason, is because they are more passive with that anger inside of them. All right. So why does that mind? Oh, before that, and there are other people who are in denial. Okay, there are other people who are in denial when things are. They just don't accept reality. They don't accept reality. They don't accept that their children are like this. They don't accept that the spouse is like this. They don't expect that, or they don't accept that they're of a certain age. That, either you're too young to do a certain thing, or you're too old to do a certain thing. So, and you rather be in denial, and you just don't accept, and you live in your fantasy world. But deep down, because of this unwillingness to accept, deep down, you will also create some sort of an anger inside of you. Deep down, it is that constant lack of satisfaction, because deep down, no matter how much you pretend that, oh, it's okay, oh no, I don't see it that way, and everybody tells you that you're in denial, but you just cannot accept it, because you want things to be perfect, although deep down you know it is not. You see, because in reality, there's no, nothing is perfect. We make do with what we have. It sounds very sad, but reality is such. So you make the best of what we have, of what you see. Right? We always look at the bright side. You look at the more positive side. If you want to be very critical, there are a lot of imperfections, and that is how reality is. So it is. You have it's like, you have the best of both worlds. Okay, to me it's fine, because if there's no imperfection, then you will not know how to appreciate when things are more perfect, for example. So that there's a yin and the yang to kind of balance things out, so that you actually appreciate it. That's how I perceive it. All right. So any questions so far? Hi, Pastor Shin. Hi, Anne. King Hoi. Thank you, King Hoi, for joining. Yin Ping, hello, and Kirsten, Caroline, and Peg. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight. Okay. Do we have any questions so far? All right. So very quickly. So these three aspects of our mind that I just spoke about, how our mind grasps onto identities, how we have expectations because of that, and because of that, some of us choose to be in denial. So these are the common factors of why there is anger in us as a result. Okay, so then you may ask, why is it that the mind keeps holding or keep grasping on to any sort of identity, be it ourselves or be it other people or situations? We always like to put things into a box, if you know what I mean. Oh, he is like that because and you just come to a conclusion based on your observation of how a person is, even in situations, right? So, maybe at work, you will say, okay, this is what happens because, and then you come to conclusion is because of this. So our mind is constantly, our mind is wired to always put people and situations into a concept, even ourselves. Okay, so like for me, okay, I'm Malaysian, but my race is of Chinese descent. Okay, and I'm 50 years old, and I do charity. So all these things add in to form a concept of who JP is, and I want people to I want to portray myself as this. So we tend to have that attachment to putting ourselves in the cookie cutter. Okay, so because I am of this age, because I am Malaysian, because I am of Chinese descent, then this is what I should be like. Okay, and I'm male, so this is how I should be like. So think about that. So for yourself, how do you perceive yourself? So why does the mind do that? Always put things into concept. Anybody knows? Well, it's because when the mind puts things into concepts or into context, there is a sense of security. Somehow we feel more secure when we can, quote unquote, understand. We think we understand, okay, so I am like this is me, and this is how I'm going to be. So it gives you a sense of security. Think about it. It gives you a sense of security when we do that. But the thing is, we're not being realistic, because we're always trying to shove ourselves into this cookie cutter that we need to be like this. So it is that comfort zone that people talk about. That comfort zone is all self-created. Okay? Comfort zone, it becomes comfortable after a while. The boundaries that we put ourselves within, and when we become comfortable with it, it is called a comfort zone. Okay, so that boundary is the concept that we created ourselves. And for today's topic, it is about creating that identity or that concept of ourself. And hence, you get very impatient with yourself. Impatient, irritated, and then it will snowball to being angry. Being angry. And that's how it works. So if you do not wish to continue to be angry with yourself for whatever reasons, check in. So check in based on what I've just shared with you. Check in and see whether or not, like, which aspect of what I've spoken about actually applies to you. So what's the key here? So the key is to first identify that these are some of the core reasons. These are some of the core reasons of why we feel angersome with ourselves. Once you identify it, then you ask yourself, do I want to continue being angersome? Am I happy with my state of mind? Am I happy with my state of mind right now? Or do I want to, improve? Do I want to be happier? Regardless of external factors, regardless of how I feel about myself, do I want to elevate my level of happiness? Do I want it bad enough? That's the question here. Because many people say, sure, it sounds good. Of course, everyone wants to be happy, right? But do I want it bad enough? That's the key here. Because if you want it bad enough, then it's easier for you to focus on that intention. And once your intention is strong and is very clear, that intention, when you focus on it, will help you slowly, when you work on it, okay, which I'll explain to you how to apply the antidote. Once you apply the antidote, it will, there will be some withdrawal syndrome, as I always say. Your body and your mind will always fight back. I feel uncomfortable, I'm not used to it, I'm shy, I'm embarrassed. Whatever it is that you tell yourself, that you stop yourself from breaking out of this self-limiting comfort zone of yours, to stop yourself. So when you focus on that intention that, no, I deserve to be happier and I want to be happier, what all these negative conversations that is stopping you, they will still come, but just like in my mindfulness meditation, watch your thought, watch your emotions, but focus back on when in meditation it's on your breath, but for this, it's on your intention of wanting to increase your level of happiness no matter what. Okay? So that is why developing that determination that, you want it so bad and you do whatever it takes to achieve it, to realize it, that will be the intention to hold on to. And if you have that level of conviction, you will succeed. You will succeed. All right, so how do we overcome anger towards ourselves? Well, first of all, is intention, which I spoke about. If your intention is lukewarm, then you're not going to succeed. You're not, because you are going to give up along the way. Okay? Next thing that you need to do is, so what do you apply? You apply gratitude. So for many of you who was following me on my program, where I teach you mindful meditation, I always say, keep a gratitude journal. So are you still doing that? Because when we keep a gratitude journal, it will train ourselves to look out for everything that we have around us that we're grateful with, because a lot of times we take things for granted. We really take things for granted. And because, you see, if we have issues with ourselves, if we're always angry with ourselves, if we're always not happy with ourselves, if we're always dissatisfied with ourselves, is because we are not practicing gratitude enough. It's as simple as that. We're not practicing gratitude enough, and we're always focusing on what we lack of, what else we don't have. And at the same time, we're focusing on fulfilling concepts or identities of ourselves. Okay, so before I continue, there's a question from the audience. Yes, Yiman, do you think that anger, Yiman says, hi JP, do you think that anger towards ourselves will inevitably lead to regret and guilt? Definitely it will. Regret, guilt, resentment, it will. It will. Okay, so it can snowball to different, to other afflictive emotions if we do not work on our rage in us. Okay, like I said, the rage can be a passive rage, or it can be a more open rage whereby you're always telling people off, you always show people black face when you're impatient and unhappy, so you do that. So what's the downside of doing that? If you're always showing people your angry side of you because you're impatient and you always have a reason to justify why you behave in such an angersome way, then people after a while will not want to tolerate it. Who would like to hang out with people who are very angersome? Think about it. Because you don't know when they're going to go ballistic on you, because you don't know what's going to trigger, what you're going to say or do that's going to trigger your anger, and then they get a shelling or a black face, and then you blame them for triggering your anger. So after a while, people are going to say, I don't think I want to hang out with somebody who's like that. Who does? Nobody likes to hang out with people who are always angersome, and you got to tiptoe around this person. So that's why we have to ask ourselves, what is it that we want? Do we want to get out of this? If we do, well, practice gratitude. Practice gratitude, and when you contemplate on yourself, when you contemplate on what is that identity that you have created for yourself, that you've been trying your best to fulfill all these years, and what are they? What are they? Okay? It is the fixation of these identities that you must be like this or you must be like that. And that is the one that is creating all that anger. So when we operate out of gratitude and we go, oh, wow, I'm very grateful that I'm healthy. I'm grateful that I have the light. I have fresh air. I'm grateful that I don't have to wear a mask when I'm indoors. I'm grateful I have a roof over my head when there are hundreds and millions of people out there who don't even have this. I'm grateful that I can even talk to all of you on my computer and share with you all what I've learned all these years. I'm grateful for these lights so that you can see me on camera. I'm grateful for the air conditioning system that we have here. I'm grateful that there's no war in our country. I'm grateful that that I have a chair to sit on that is clean. There's so much to be grateful of. I'm grateful that I even have a shirt that I can wear, a clean shirt. So when we train our mind to be so focused on being grateful, you will notice that a lot of your anger in you will become less and less and less and less and less. Because why? Anger is not natural. It is not a natural state of mind. It's not natural. Because Well, some people say, but I'm always very angry. Well, I beg to differ, because when you're asleep and you're dreaming, you're not angry, right? You're dreaming away, because if anger is a natural state of mind, and it's there, then every second of the day, even when you're sleeping and dreaming, you will be angersome. So obviously you're not. And when you're born, you were not angersome. So that's how you check. That's how you check what is your natural state of mind. Okay, and you don't need a doctor to tell you that. You just check. Listen and watch and observe how your mind works, and watch how, when your emotions arise and when your thoughts arise, where are they coming from? Where are they coming from? Okay, so this is a very interesting topic. Now, after this, at 9:45, I do have a workshop where I actually guide everyone to contemplate on on today's topic, which is anger towards ourselves, and how to understand that aspect of our mind much better. And then after that, to work on applying gratitude and other tools that I'll share with you, so that you can actually have a glimpse of how to apply this antidote. And slowly, through time, through your daily contemplation, you can actually lessen the anger towards yourself, and you feel much more at peace and more calm as a result. Okay, so before I end today's program, I would like to thank today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is Anonymous, dedication to all who seek inner growth. And second sponsor, Anonymous, dedication, may all beings are free, at peace, and awakened. And the third sponsor for today's program is also Anonymous, dedication, dedicated towards all beings' liberation from suffering and attainment of compassion, wisdom, and true happiness. So thank you very much for sponsoring today's program. If you'd like to sponsor a program, there is a link at the caption at the top of the video after this video ends, and you can make a contribution, because these contributions will actually help us sustain the cost of running our online programs that we make available for everyone around the world. Okay, so on that note, thank you very much, and again, please practice mindfulness with this current lockdown in Malaysia, as our pandemic is getting from bad to worse. So this is where it's going to really, really count, when we become mindful of our body and our mind. Okay, so all the SOPs are in place, and just be mindful and practice that, so that you can save yourself from being infected. All right, so thank you very much. If you like this program, do share with people on your Facebook, because again, you never know, especially with this third lockdown. Many people are well, they are very grateful. I feel that yes, we're finally having a full lockdown, but at the same time, many people are financially in trouble as a result of that. Okay, and especially those who live on a day-to-day wage, they're the ones who are going to suffer a lot. So yeah, so let's quickly go overcome this pandemic, so that we can all go on with our normal lives again. All right, so if you want to join me for the workshop, there is the link there. Freon just shared with all of you. No, well, there's the email. You can email to Freon at BeMindful@Kechara.com, and then I'll see you shortly at 9:45. So take care, and I'll see you next Saturday. Bye bye.